Peymon tells me to come up here and tell a joke, but sorry guys. He kind of threw me up here. I'm not good at this. Hold on. It's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker. He was born in Iran of Jewish descent. He came to the United States in 1977 when I was 2 years old. He earned his Bachelor of Science in 1987 from Long State University in well, California. And he became an American citizen in 1989. And he heard on the radio and he learned for himself that income taxes was, that there was no law that required anybody to pay income taxes. So in 1992, he started getting more educated and teaching, doing small classes in his room, just to bring people up to par where he was. And then in 1996, he formed what is now Freedom Law School. And he's been, at this freedom movement for almost, I guess, about 12 years, really, since he became a libertarian in 1989, when he also became an American citizen. It's my great pleasure to present my husband, Peymon Mottahedeh.
Thanks, honey. She's a little bit nervous because that's the first time she's done something like this, but give her a hand, folks. Thank you. In life, I guess you kind of jump into things because there is no choice but to jump into it. So she took the break and spoke and introduced me. And speaking from a public podium, I know it's a nervous thing for some people, but just like anything else, with a little practice, and you get better at it, basically. Anyhow, the subject of my speech for you this morning is how come the IRS truly is the Wizard of Oz, and how much more power you truly do have than perhaps you realize about your life and your freedom, and how you can free yourself from the tyranny, abuse, and fear of the IRS and governmental agencies in general. Okay. But before I get into that, let me just reiterate what you heard my wife April tell you about me. I started in the freedom movement back in 1992 when I heard about an income tax being imposed on the American people in violation of the U.S. Constitution. However, I became informed about how America is becoming a socialist government, and not the way it was supposed to be way back when I was going to college in California State University in Long Beach back in the early 80s. And what I did is, when I heard about that claim about income tax being voluntary, basically, I was quite shocked. I'm sure a few of you are in this audience shocked to hear John Turner speak about that. So what I did is I took an intense investigation into legality of the income tax to find out for myself whether it's true or not. Well, now for you guys it's really easy. You heard John Turner. How many of you in this room have heard about Joe Bannister? Can I see show of hands? Okay. How many of you have heard Joe speak live or on tape? How many of you had not heard of Joe Bannister until today? Okay, see, he's becoming known. So, there's much more information readily available now for you to know what's going on. But for me, back then, early 90s, it was a confusing experiment because I went to all kind of seminars. And people said, you got to do this and that or the other to be free of the IRS's tyranny. And the bottom line is, folks, is, you know, in America we have a lot more rights than the rest of the world, basically. You know, I come from Iran, of a Jewish family. I'll give you just a personal example, just to see how much more rights and freedom you have that you enjoy still, that we need to exercise. Okay? One of my relatives was taken in and executed, accused of being a Zionist spy or corrupt on earth, whatever that means. Now, did he get a jury trial like you would get here? No. Did he have a public defender? No. He had money to get a lawyer, but they wouldn't assist him or represent him. Like you here, you can have that. Was there in Iran the judge and a prosecutor, two different individuals? No, they were the same. And the judge is also the jury. Was he presumed innocent until proven guilty like in America? No. He was guilty until he could prove his innocence. Did he have a right to bring his accusers on the stand and under oath, question them about the accusations, like you get to have in America? No, he had no such right. Was the trial public, where everybody could come and watch what's going on about it and report it out there if they want to? No, it was completely in secret. Yeah, and did he have a trial at all? We don't know. We don't know if he had a trial or not. It was in secret, if anything. You know, so we take that for granted. I'll give you a little bit more about it. Could we have this kind of a discussion in Iran or China or Cuba about the government and their misbehavior and violations of the law? Could we pass out even flyers about such meetings and all that? For things like that, they put you in jail, torture you, execute you, who knows? Where I come from in Iran, my relative, my uncle who went to pick my relative's body from the jail morgue, he was taken in and for 3 months jailed and tortured. And what was his charge? He was associated or linked or related, obviously, to this Zionist spy they just killed. That was his only charge, only link. They let him out after they found out that the guy has nothing to do with nothing. Okay? So, and another thing I want to let you know is that's different. Do they have a U.S. Constitution in Iran? I'm sorry, a constitution for the government. Yes, they do. So does Communist China, and so did Soviet Union. But do they break it? Yes, they do. Routinely. For example, not only the average Iranian doesn't have a right to free speech, members of Congress are given guaranteed freedom to express their opinions in Congress during their debates. Yet, the executive and the judiciary, who really hold the powers, they misinterpret the constitutional law on purpose and jail them anyhow. They're the representative of the people. And do they have the Constitution provisions that they're not supposed to torture people? Yes, they do. You're not supposed to torture people, but they do it anyhow. Okay? So that's why when I came to America and I found out that supposedly the U.S. Constitution is the highest law of the land, nobody can break it, not even the president. Okay? You could call the president every 4-letter word you want to. You know, hey, you know, that's a free country. I thought that's good. You know, whatever you don't like him, say it. In Iran, you could put in jail for criticizing the authorities. But I do want to remind you one thing about America that's not different than Iran. As special as America is in many ways, I want you to please realize before I give you the good news, okay, I'm going to give you a little more depressing news. The fact that American government is still a government. And where does government in reality derive their authority to do what they do? In reality. Not in theory, but in reality. Can anybody tell me? What?
Money.
Gun. That's right, they got the gun. Why did we negotiate with Saddam Hussein of Iraq? Because we think his elections are fair, even though he's the only one on the ballot? Huh?
What do you want?
Do we, with Fidel Castro, because he's the only one on the ballot, we negotiated with him? Why we know? Because he's got the gun over the people of Iraq, Cuba, or Cuba. Fidel Castro and Saddam Hussein, hey, buddy, I'll kill you if you don't do what I tell you. I'm the master, you are my slave. Okay? Government, throughout the history of humankind, has always been based upon power, gun. I read you from the Declaration of Independence this morning because the American experiment was supposed to be different. American system of government is supposed to be on the consent or the agreement of we the people, right? Well, that's a nice theory. And at Thomas Jefferson's time, back then with the Founding Fathers, perhaps it was that way. But it ain't no longer the case. Okay? So we need to wake up from the dreamland of Founding Fathers and the Constitution, see the way it was supposed to be, the way it is today, then go back. The reason I'm saying that is because the freedom movement is full of misinformation out there, which I was into myself for several years. Okay? Theories that supposedly you do X, Y, or Z, and you get out of the government's jurisdiction, or you get out of their system. And once you do that, they can't touch you. After all, you're out of their jurisdiction, right? I mean, really being out of the jurisdiction means when you physically, like if you're in Bahamas, right, or Cayman Islands, okay, the United States government can't touch you. You're in a different country. That's out of their jurisdiction, right? But when you hear, they got the gun. So if you heard somebody tell you that because of you filed your UCC 1-207 or UCC filings that you did, or your individual sovereign state citizen, not a 14th Amendment created U.S. citizen, or because you redeem your straw man for value, or you expatriated or repatriated, or because you object to yellow French flag, or because of Buck Act, you don't use zip code on your mail, or you put a caret in front of your address, and all these funny things, you know, that all sounds good, that because of that, you're free of their jurisdiction. But that's just not so, folks. All that, and 99% of you, I bet you, if that's what you heard already, and that's what you probably read this moment believing. But I'm telling you, I was one of those believers too. And I'm not a dummy, people tell me. And neither are you. The reason is, well, we buy these theories that sound so good, just like the tooth fairy theory makes sense, right? The tooth fairy theory makes perfect sense if you believe in the underlying assumption that there is such a thing as a tooth fairy, right? Everything makes sense about the tooth fairy story if you believe there is a tooth fairy. All these things are false, folks. The government doesn't get its authority because it deceived you into some contract. Okay, adhesion contract with your social security number, your contract. Now, now we can go do things with you. Oh, judge is going to say, this guy, they cancel his social security number. We can't touch him. Let him go. Can you see that? Can you imagine? They don't do that, folks. Okay? Oh, this guy's already expatriated. He signed things UCC. Let him go. We can't touch him. Doesn't use zip code on his mail. Let him go. Can you imagine that? Well, that's what the theories out there that are being promoted in the freedom movement out there. Okay? And I believed in those things, and I took, in 1992 to 1995, even though I was very poor, making under $20,000 a year, I spent thousands and thousands every year taking seminars, books, videos, live seminars, or on audio cassette to check out all these different things, folks. Been there, done that. I'm not trying to put down anybody. People say, oh, Peymon, why are you trying to put people down? I'm not trying to put down nobody. That's not the purpose. What I'm trying to tell you is I made a mistake. And I don't want you to make the same mistake. You know, there's two ways of learning, they say. Okay, the first way is the school of hard knocks, right? That's the hard way, right? What's the easier way to learn? School of prior knowledge. Somebody who went through it, right? Yeah. Well, I've been through the process that many of you knew are about to get into. Okay, and people stop me at the break, how about this and all that? I'm trying to tell you. And the problem is the average person knows as much about law and legal research and using the law library and verifying legal claims as a 9-year-old child knows about automobiles. Everybody knows income tax is a fraud in this room, most everybody. Everybody knows that the car needs water to be added to it to run properly. But some people claim you add the water directly in the engine. Or you put it in the gas tank. Or you put it in the back seat or trunk of your car. And here I'm telling you, I tried and studied those things. I found out the proper way is a radiator. Why are you trying to put these people down? There's more than one way to do it, you know. People tell me that. You know, there's one way with the place where the car, the water got to go. That's a radiator, right?
About the battery.
Okay, and the battery is secondary, you know, and the windshield wiper, but the number one is a radiator, right? Not the trunk of the car, not the gas tank, not directly in the engine, right? So, April, could you give me the law library book, please? That is why one of the first things that I always implore people to do, and we teach at Freedom Law School to everybody, is show you how to use the law library and verify people's claims. Do not believe me. Do not believe John Turner. Do not believe the IRS. Do not believe anybody on internet. Learn to verify people's claims in a law library. It is easy. Look, folks, a naturalized American citizen who used to be a foreigner, okay? English is my second language, okay? I could master this stuff. This is easy. So I'm sure for you that English is your first language. You could do it a lot easier than me. And you know, on top of that, I got an organized set of, you know, cassettes and videos on how to do that stuff. It's really easy. How many Freedom Law School students do we have in this class? Can you keep your hands up? Okay. Turn around, folks. I want you to turn around because what I'm telling you, you need to ask around people. Is that true, what he's saying? You know, have you checked this stuff? So these guys, you can go ask them, okay, because they've listened to some of these things. So that's my first message, is to verify the truth for yourself and, you know, become a little bit of doubting Thomas. Okay, there's nothing wrong with being a little bit skeptical. Okay. Now, beyond that, how many of you have heard that We the People Foundation had taken full-page ads in USA Today, and there's one in this weekend's edition of USA Today also, to expose the illegality income tax. You all seen that? Yeah? Okay. They took 4 full-page ads, one of them with John Turner, Joe Bannister, and Sherry Jackson, former IRS agents, okay, exposing the fraud of income tax. Another one with other experts exposing the fraud of income tax. Another one with employers across the country who've stopped withholding income tax. The first one, check this out. This is something truly incredible. The first one, okay, came out in 1999. The Jason Furman, from the person who represented the White House. This is the quote from what he told Bob Schultz of We the People Foundation, okay? He said, the legality of the income tax is not a high priority item at the White House. What is he saying? We don't care if what we're doing is legal or not. See, they want to take you to a jury of 12 American fellow citizens, make you look like a criminal who doesn't want to pay a fair share, that you break the law, right? If you go on the freeway 80 miles an hour and you're not hurting anybody, they'll stop you with a gun and give you a ticket, go to court, or they'll arrest you, right? But here we got the government itself become the biggest lawbreaker, saying flat out, the legality of the income tax is not a high priority item at the White House. Now, you know, I know I'm just kind of naive, folks. Maybe I'm new to this, but I was under the naive assumption and belief that the government is supposed to, you know, have everybody follow the law, but following the law themselves first of all, right? Like, you know, so we doesn't become like Iran, where I come from, right? Lawbreakers, right? But you see, folks, that's what we got. We have a bunch of treasonous people in office at all 3 branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial, folks. Let's not forget. There is a judicial conspiracy to protect and preserve the federal income tax, the Federal Reserve System, okay? No judge, no matter how great your argument is, based upon the Constitution, Supreme Court decisions of 100 years ago, or the exact language of the IRS Code of Regulations, will ever declare that the income tax or the money system is illegal, even though it is, because they're all in it together. Okay, the judges are paid by the government. That's the problem. That's why what Bob Schultz and We the People Foundation is doing is so important. Why we do a freedom drive to D.C., because it's more than just about money. It's not about taxes or money. It's about freedom. It's about the Constitution. It's about the future of America. So that's why I've decided that, I'm going to take a stand, and I don't care if, these guys want to investigate me, the IRS, okay, we got to go head-to-head with them, okay? Some of us, like me, choose to go head-to-head with them. But for the rest of you, I'd like to suggest perhaps a more modest approach. You can support us. If you like what John Turner is doing, what We the People Foundation is doing, what Freedom Law School is doing, you can support us in different ways, okay, without having to be up front, like from the podium, okay? Because I assume everything I say, it's always recorded by an IRS agent, okay? And I've had, by the way, IRS agents as my students. Yeah, some of them told me they were IRS agents, gave me good stuff. Some of them were spies, okay? And the ones that told me who they were, they gave me good information. Okay, everybody got the handouts? Okay, get your handouts ready, because I'm going to address these things, okay, for you in a minute, okay? Because I'm going to try to give you, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you some education today about the weakness of the IRS, okay? But I'm going to give you the solutions more about what to do more tomorrow, okay? It's a kind of a two-step presentation I got for you, okay? The first thing I want to let you know is this. Whenever you fill out a 1040 income tax confession form, and that's what it is. The 1040 income tax form is not a return. It's a 1040 income tax confession form. These are the flyers I'm talking. If you didn't get one, raise your hand at the back. They'll get you. Okay, a lot of people don't have the flyers, okay, folks. I think everybody in the middle doesn't have it. The exhibitors and speakers have it, but not everybody else, okay? Okay, we'll pass it out to everybody. Okay. Whenever that 1040 form is not a tax form. How many of you fill out 1040 forms every year? Can I see show of hands? Don't be shy. That's okay. That hands going slowly. Okay, some minority will do. Okay. Don't feel bad about it, because I did. I think maybe for 1 or 2 years, if I remember right. I don't remember. Really, exactly. It was so long ago. A 1040 income tax confession form is not a return. You're not returning anything to the government. What do you got that you're returning? Nothing. And what it is, a form that you are under penalty of perjury, signing the form and saying, by God, Master Government, everything in this form is true, correct, and complete. And if I made a mistake, Master, I'll pay you penalty for it. If you doubt me, Master, I'll provide any proof of my deductions with receipts, cancel checks, more statements under oath. I prove that I deserve this break, this deduction and expense. And if I make a mistake, guess what, Master? If you want, you could put me in jail for 5 years. For 5 years. For every year that you make a mistake on the 1040 income tax confession form, it's a felony tax evasion. How many of you guys knew that? Very few. It's a felony tax evasion charge. So people will file. Now, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to put yourself at risk of doing that? Now, I'll tell you something else. Joe Bannister. Now, Joe Bannister, but you guys don't know this, but his first edition of his report, it was published by Freedom Law School. He's our student. He's our graduate. He verified this stuff because he took our level 1 course, and he also got a book, How to Use a Law Library, from us. Okay, so you might want to, if he did the same thing, you might want to use a law library like he did. Okay, but he told me, Peymon, whenever we went after people criminally, in 5 years I was with the IRS, Peymon, I did only 4 cases. There are 3,000 special agents with the IRS like me out there, and many of them don't even do investigations. Okay, I did only less than 1 per year. They were all filers. Okay, and one of the first things we always did when we want to go after somebody is ordered up a copy of his 1040 income tax confession form from previous years. There, he had verified bare to us under oath everything about his life, where his home is, his assets are, car, boat, business, bank accounts, stocks, 401k, IRAs. There it is. We just got to follow the money trail, and we get them. And that's what I did. I followed the money trail. That's right. Banking account is hazardous to your life. Quit using banks so much. Because every time you use a bank, money orders, checks, or credit cards, according to the U.S. Supreme Court in 1973, you have voluntarily given up your right to privacy and want the IRS and FBI to know access to your records. That's why Freedom Law School, we say use cash, because the Supreme Court has ordered us to use cash if we want to preserve our financial privacy. That's all we're doing. Okay? But you give all that information away to the IRS. And no, having your slave surveillance number, misnamed Social Security number, is not enough for the IRS to find out where all your stuff is. It's a lot easier for them when you've verified everything to be true on your own. You see what I'm saying? Okay, that's the worst thing you can do. You admit to things, you put the 5-year risk of penalty. I tell you, this is a true story I'm going to tell you. I was doing a seminar with Joe Bannister in 1999 in L.A., in Burbank. Lady comes up to me, and she says, "Is Joe Bannister here?" I said, "Yeah, someplace. Can I help you?" "My husband's in jail over taxes. I want to get him out." "Well, tell me what's going on. Maybe I can help you." "Well, my husband and I are millionaires. We make big royalty checks. We have some professional person fill out all of our, tax forms. And 1 year, IRS wants to come after my husband and I, put us in jail for like 20, 25 years of jail." That's right. For making a mistake on a piece of paper, you're looking at more jail than raping a woman. Isn't that crazy? You can rape a woman, but don't rape the government, they say. So, they went to the IRS and said, "Look, if there's a mistake, we'll pay the tax, interest, even penalty, but we're not criminals. If anybody's responsible, it's our professional tax preparer. He's the one who kept all the books. We don't understand all the tax law stuff. We don't understand the IRS code, that thick. What did we really sign it? We just did our best job based upon professional advice. So you ought to go after him." They said, "No, lady, it doesn't work that way. You are the one that filled out that 1040 income tax confession form, and you are the one that's looking at jail. 20 to 25 years. I thought it was 4 or 5 years. I don't remember exactly." So she was in her mid to late 40s. So they say, "Okay, I guess we have to go get a lawyer, get some help." Wow, what a surprise. How many people knew that H.R.M. Block and the CPA and tax attorneys are greasing their way to jail? Okay? That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Okay? Because they don't know what the heck they're doing. In fact, if you read the publications of the tax practitioner community, CPAs, tax attorneys, enrolled agents, in their material, they say, I got Ed Bruning, one of our great paralegals, sent it to me by email. He said, they say in there that number one to you is your reputation with the IRS, not the client's interest. Because if you stand up for this client's interest, ask for a collection due process hearing, or stand up for his rights, they're going to make it life difficult for you with all your other clients. So they know that if they want to have even a little break, they better just grease the way for their clients, for the IRS. Okay? So this couple goes and gets a lawyer, and okay, let's get some money of our bank accounts. Frozen. Oh, we got some stocks. Frozen. Mutual funds and other 401k. Frozen. All their assets are frozen by the IRS to cripple them. Yeah. How do they know where all your money is? This couple. How would the IRS know where all the money is for them to freeze? You told them on your 1040 income tax confession forms. Ready to take. Folks, the fact is, filers get raped by the IRS far, far more than non-filers. Larry Sontag, a privacy expert, one of my friends and students, telling me, "Peymon, I used to ride share with the IRS agent to one job, and one time he made some interesting comment. He was telling me, I hate those non-filers. They're so hard to find. Filers are real easy. All you got to do is pick at their return." That's the truth. That's the truth. That's right. Just pick at your return. Okay? So you tell them where everything is, and so this couple eventually raises $100,000 and gets an attorney. Now, Those of you who raise your hand, fathers, how many of you have 100,000 sitting around, someplace safe, someplace you have not told the IRS, put aside, just in case you're charged, you can pay a lawyer? How many of you? Can I see your hand? 1, 2 hands go up. Okay, kudos to them. There's some planning. Okay, now, so guess for the $100,000 what this couple got. You know what the lawyer's best advice was? My best professional advice to you is to make a deal with the IRS and plead guilty to lesser charges. What? We paid you $100,000 to tell us that? Look, let me tell you how it really works. You see, in the mind of the average citizen juror out there, okay, you are a criminal defendant. You are already guilty. After all, why would the wonderful prosecutors, government prosecutors, the guys who protect us from bad guys, put you in trial unless you're really guilty? They don't just go after innocent people, do they? Of course not. Right? That's the mentality. Even though they're told by the judge you're innocent until proven guilty. And so, but the real kicker is this. The problem is this, folks. On that 1040 confession form, you put the ink and you signed it, and that numbers are a mistake or erroneous. Now, in practice, you have to prove to the jury that the reason for that mistake was just honest mistake. Sure, the jury's going to buy that. Yeah, you put those numbers wrong or claim this deduction you're not entitled to. It was an honest mistake. Bad professional advice. Sure, you were just trying to cheat and not pay your fair share. Yeah, we know. We can see that, obviously. Numbers are a mistake, and our wonderful government prosecutors are trying to protect us from people like you who don't want to pay your fair share. Go to jail, buddy. That's right. That's how it works. You're guilty until proven innocent, practically, because you put the rope around your own neck, handed it to the IRS, and said, just in case you want to pick on me, IRS, here is the rope. I have faith in you that you won't pick me, but here it is. Yeah. So that's what the couple did. The husband pled guilty to smaller charges. You know, he's got jail for 3-4 years. So they let her go, and she's coming to the meeting. Now she hears about income tax being fraud, illegal, scam, and heard about Joe Bannister, you know, looking for a magician, wizard to get him out of jail. And I thought, we can't do that. Sorry, we're not a magician. We just teach you the law and help you protect your rights. The number one thing is, why put the rope around your own neck? Why confess to information that's going to be used against you? And do you know that just a simple failure to file a 1040 income tax confession form, although there is no such thing, but they claim there is, okay? The government claims there is. The judge tells the jury there is. The jury believe there is one, okay? Do you know at most for not filing, just a simple not filing, you can only get a 1-year misdemeanor jail sentence as opposed to a 5-year felony tax evasion for filing? How many of you knew that in this room? Yeah, only a handful. That's right. That's the fact. IRS Code Section 7203 is for simply not filing, and 7201 is for tax evasion, for which all filers automatically fall under. Now I'm going to tell you. That's for each year. That's right, my friend, for each year. That's right. So if you got 4 years involved in non-filing, you only look at that 4 years. But if you filer, it's 4 years times 5, which is 20. 20 years. So that's what the Lord told her. Do you want to risk that? Do you want to risk going to jail in case, you know, you rest of your life be in jail, die in jail perhaps? Do you want to take a chance? Can you even take that chance? See, I'm sorry to tell you folks, we don't live in a free country like I was promised, or you were promised anymore. There's a risk no matter what you do. This roof could fall down on us any second. There's no guarantee it won't fall. We hope it won't. It was designed right, but there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee you get on the road, drive on the freeway, lawfully follow the law, or if somebody, some drunk, the driver, fall asleep and hit you on the side and have your car flip over, turn over and die, right? Every year about 50,000 people die on the highways of America. 50,000 people. And you know what? Good portion of them were following all the rules of the road, weren't they? There's no guarantee, folks. I'm sorry to tell you. Filing or not filing, there's always a chance that IRS could come after you. But the good news is a non-filer, it's a lot easier, a lot better for you. Let me show you. Get this one that says IRS proof out, okay? This is from the mouth of the Wizard of Oz, the IRS itself, okay? If you file a 1040 income tax confession form, your chances of going to jail are 9 times more than if you did nothing every April 15th. More. Okay? Now, if you go on the back of this page, this is information, you can go get it yourself from the IRS's Criminal and Investigative Division's website on internet. Okay? This is 2 different parts. The top half is one part of their website. The bottom half is another part of the website. I put the pieces together so you can see the big picture. You see? Kind of like a puzzle. The pieces are separated. You don't see the big picture put together. You see it, right? Here's the numbers, okay? Top part is for, it shows how many people IRS jailed for each of the years 2000, 2001, 2002. Who doesn't have one? Raise your hands and let's get you some more. Anybody doesn't have it? Any at the back? Okay. So if you look at total convictions for each of the years 2000, 2001, and 2002, it's about 2,000, isn't it? 2,000 to 2,200 on average, isn't it? Per year. Correct? Everybody in the whole country of 280 million plus people, right? The bottom half is what they call the non-filers initiative. How many they're really afraid of non-filers because you're not going, hi, here I am. Here's my statement under oath, IRS. Use it against me. Make me prove everything to you. Yeah. You're not doing that. You're just minding your own business, right? So non-filer statistics, look at the number of convictions. It's about 220, right? About 220 people. 220. So it's about 10%, isn't it, of the total, right? You got about 2,200 people that went to jail altogether, and only 220 of them are non-filers. So what's the rest of them? Filers. That's right. About close to 2,000 people a year who file go to jail. Now, the latest statistics of the IRS shows that they get about 127 million tax returns from corporations, trusts, and individuals. Individual tax returns are like about 90-some million. Write these numbers down if you want. I'm serious. This stuff took me some time to look around and dig up to give you the big picture. Okay, about 90-some million filers. Okay? Well, you want to know how many non-filers are out there? Tell you what, get the other flyer out. Get the other flyer out, the one with the picture of IRS Commissioner Rosati. Go on the back. Go on the back, and I'm going to tell you. Look at the back of the picture. This is a letter from Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, Washington, D.C., straight from the District of Criminals. Okay? This is a letter, okay, it says, Mr. Abel, thank you for your letter to Mr. Charles O. Rosati, Commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service, dated July 7th, 1998. We are pleased to provide you the following information. This is straight from Commissioner of the IRS office, right? This is the information they're pleased to tell you all. Look at it, folks. It says, based on our 1996 tax filing program, we estimate. What does that mean? Yeah. We're guessing. We don't know. Okay? We're guessing. There are approximately 63 million taxpayers who have not filed tax return and initially would appear to have a legal requirement to file. Right? Now, skip the next line. Okay? Go to the next underlined portion. Here's what it says. The vast majority of this taxpayer population are due refunds or would owe little or no tax. Fine. But here's the good part, though. Since we do not have sufficient resources to work 63 million potential non-filers, what? What are you saying, IRS? You're not a big, powerful thing? You telling me you do not have sufficient resources to work 63 million potential non-filers? You mean I could be just one of those sheep, ants that you lost track of? Is that what you're trying to tell me? You look at me as a sheep to corral through a 1040 shearing machine, voluntary suckered me into it, that if I go through, you think you told me I'm safer. You told me I'm safer if I file a 1040 confession form as a sheep. I go through a 1040 shearing machine, and it goes, bzzz, as I go through. You take my wool off. I need my wool for my family, my kids, my money, right? And then as I go through, you make me sign a 1040 income tax confession form under penalty of perjury, swear to it. That means on the way out, I'll put a rope around my own neck, right, for you to hang me by, put me in jail for 5 years. And you tell me that you don't have enough resources to work the 63 million potential non-filers? Yeah. See, folks, the issue is not filing and paying income tax. I'm sorry, the issue is not filing or not filing. The issue is clearly non-filing is safer than filing. You can actually pay the tax and don't file. In fact, we recommend it as an alternative for some of you who are really conservative, who are really cautious. Oh, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm afraid the IRS pay my whatever you say. I'm just too deathly afraid. Okay, fine. If you're afraid, tell you what. The safest thing to do, if you want to be really safe, is pay, but don't file. You can do that. You could just, like Joe Bannister, okay? When he quit the IRS, the next year, he wrote to the IRS, look, there's no law requirement to file and pay income tax. You know, IRS refused to answer my own report as a criminal investigator to show me the law. I tell you what, here's the money. Here is the check. Of course, the money order is better. Don't send a check because you tell me your bank account is. But here's the money that I would have owed if I was to file a tax return the normal way. I've done the numbers. But either send me the money back or show me the law requires me to file and assess me the tax and tell me what I owe you. Show me the law. You know what the IRS did with his money? Cashed it. Did they respond to him? No. So, what did he do? He ordered up the copy of his files from the IRS. You can do that under the Freedom of Information Act. You can get a copy of your files from the IRS. He got it. It shows he has a credit. Yeah. I have another one of my students in Washington State that does it, you know, and did this method. He said, Peymon, the most I get from him is threatening letters from him that once they say, if you don't file, we might levy your bank account or other assets for like minus $10,000. Levy means take your money from your bank account or paycheck. He was saying, oh, good, please do it. Please levy it. Take my money for the amount of minus $10,000. They never do it. See, because you already paid the tax. Right, Pat? You already paid the tax, whether you lie withholding or send it in. They already got the money. So criminally, okay, they cannot do anything to you because even if you're convicted of failure to file a tax return, which the jury will not convict you because to them it's no big deal. They say to the average jurors, he's already paid the money. Why does the government care about the piece of paper? That's the juror's attitude. They don't care. You know, he paid the money. So they won't convict. But even if they do convict, guess what? By their own mandatory sentencing guidelines, your jail term must be 0 because all the money is paid. Of course, they cannot take anything from you, your bank account or paycheck or assets, because you already paid the tax. So that's the safest way. If you really want to just play it safe. Now, of course, there's millions of Americans realizing that, you know, the government is out of control and they choose not to pay either. Okay, now that's a little bit more of a challenge because people say, well, you know, why should I pay the tax? I understand that. So it's your choice whether you want to pay or and not file. Pay and file or not pay and not file. Go on the back of this brochure. Okay, I got another piece of good news from the devil's mouth. From again the cover page of IRS Commissioner Charles Rosati. Okay, one of the master criminals in this country. Okay, this man agreed to meet, has his agents, experts, meet Bob Schultz and Joe Bannister and their experts about legality income tax. And agreed in writing, and they canceled out. Okay? Here it says that the IRS collects more than $1.8 trillion in taxes each year. And they have about 100,000 employees and a budget of $8.2 billion. Now, to the average person, they would just read on to the rest of the garbage about his background on the page. Don't get confused by the little print there. Okay? The main thing that matters, by the way, this is straight from the page. I just enlarged the print on the top. But if you know what? I'm a math major. I always do math numbers real quick. I love doing that. I do a little quick math. I say, wait a minute. Look at the bottom. Look at the bottom what I wrote. Okay, this means that for every $1,000 that the IRS collects, they spend about $5, which is half of 1%. That's all. That's all. Half of 1%. Does the IRS have the power to go after everybody? No. They don't. They know it. You didn't know it. See, who are the 63 million non-filers? Well, illegal aliens from Mexico and across the world. Okay, old people on Social Security, children, people who went bankrupt, people living off their savings, people going to school, people living off the farm, you know, drug dealers, okay, criminals, okay, people who forgot, people who never filed because nobody ever told them. I'm serious. I didn't file for many, many years. I think I filed 1 or 2 years because nobody ever told me I was supposed to file. Yeah, really. But I'm all throughout college and afterwards, didn't file. Nobody ever told me. The only time I thought about it was the mortgage lender rep told me that, Peymon, if you want to get a home, you got to get one of those to the bank. Oh. So to get a home loan, I got to file and pay? And that didn't make sense. A lot of people. So they don't know how many of you are doing it because of constitutional, legal, ethical reasons, and how many of you just Jose Gonzalez from Mexico, okay, who worked for a job, okay, paycheck, got a slave surveillance number, right, okay, and W-2. So you ever heard of a Mexican guys from Mexico that don't speak English, they get IRS trouble? No. Why not? IRS can't get to them. There's too many people out there, folks. Bottom line is, there's too many people for the Wizard of Oz to get, and you didn't realize that, okay? You know, IRS, for all the enforcement collections, they try to make you like, we can get you, we can get you. If you want to, we can get you. You know what percent of money the IRS raises is based upon collections, upon forcing people to pay? 2%. 2%. 98% of money that the IRS collects is given voluntarily without any work at all. Oh, here it is money, IRS. Let my employer withhold from my paycheck. Here's I withhold from my own paycheck if I'm a business owner. Here's the money. That's right. They don't have the power you thought they had. Okay? Non-filing is a lot safer, and you have a lot more power than you realize. Now, what to do about it now? Tell you what. That's what you want. I tell you, what if you could have a thing where all the non-filers got together? They got the very best legal minds in the freedom movement that know the rules of procedure and evidence and court and IRS procedure down, better, really good, better than anybody else out there. The best guys. We came all together. Look at all the people in this room. Think of all the potential non-filers out there, 63 million, right? What if you get just 1 million of us, or 100,000, or just even 10,000 of us? Okay, get together, right? And we form a thing where we can put our monies in there to get the best legal minds, to educate ourselves, to protect and prepare ourselves. Do you have a real chance of winning against the IRS? That's right, a lot better. Let me tell you, since 1996, which I've been doing Freedom Law School, not one student in Freedom Law School ever been charged by the IRS criminally, jailed, or even $1 taken from them by the IRS. But I tell you what I do get. I got people who call me who I did my UCC, I did my sovereign citizenship thing, I did my cancel my contracts with the state, I don't use zip code on my mail because of Buck Act, and I have a yellow fringe flag, and tax statement, and expatriation, straw man, and redemption, all kinds of stuff they call me. But IRS is taking my paycheck anyhow. They're taking my paycheck anyhow. What do I do? I said, come on down, on telephone, or send me a copy of your papers, live or in person. I charge $1.80 an hour, $3 per minute to go through it in 1 hour, figure out what's going on until you go from here. All the time. Okay? And Wednesday nights we have a free conference call, by the way, we can announce the number later. You can call in to listen to those people. Okay? The worst that you could do is that 1040 income tax confession form. I have a lady who called me and says, Peymon, we're doing fine, not filing for many, many years. And our attorney scared us into filing. So we filed for 7 years of back returns. So we can do offer and compromise. We pay the IRS pennies on the dollar. You heard that gimmick? Pennies on the dollar. Yeah. But the IRS is not, they're going full blast, checking all of our bank accounts, everything, every source of money to get all the information. They're not stopping. They haven't given us the answer yet. We're afraid they're going to take everything we got and don't give us pennies on the dollar. What can you do for me? Oh, my gosh. Very little, to be honest with you. You know? That's her. She was doing fine. When you filed a 1040 confession form, what did she do? She says, IRS, this year, over $100,000, $200,000. I owe it to you. I'm telling you, there's no challenge. I owe it. All the IRS got to do is to take it. And they're not going to give you pennies on the dollar. They only give pennies on the dollar if you tell them under oath, everything you own, everything you got, everything you make, totally. They check you out, and they really found you totally broke and have nothing at all. If you have really are nothing, you're judgment-proof anyhow, you're uncollectible anyhow. Then they say, oh, since you're uncollectible anyhow, and you owe us $100,000, okay, you can pay us $10,000 or $20,000, beg, borrow, steal, and pay us, and we'll just forget about the whole thing. Well, you're judgment-proof. Ask John Turner, he'll tell you that about close to half the people he was supposed to collect, he had them listed as uncollectible. They do it all the time. You're judgment-proof. You see what I'm saying? So, well, tomorrow I'm going to share with you how, with education, preparation, and assistance of professionals and experienced people in the freedom movement, you can not only live free of the IRS terror, but you could literally tell your neighbor, hey man, you know what? You got no help from HR on Block, from your tax preparer. You can go to jail, they could take everything you got, you got to pay your attorney $100, $200 an hour or more. You don't have one, you're going to have to find one. You're going to have to go to a tax court and all that, you have to pay out of your pocket. I have a thing where it's all taken care of for me for a fixed cost. It's like prepaid tax defense fund. What if we do something like that? You think that would be a good idea? I think it's time for us to get together rather than being individuals that, you know, all of you have a lot in common. But the problem with people who are in unions, they're organized. People who are in government, they're organized. The rich people, they're organized because they have common interests, right? But I tell you what the problem with the people like you is. You know what the problem with you and our problem is? We're not organized. With small business owners, doctors, dentists, you know, chiropractors, construction contractors, computer programmers, consultants, farmers, you know, insurance agents, whatever independent thing you'll be doing, or you know, or wage earners, independent-minded people. Some of us even work for the government. We're not organized. We get organized. We got power. We put our monies together. We put our energies together. That's what these meetings are about, folks. Now we can stand up to tyranny. Okay? So if you think that's a good concept, we have literature in the back. You want to pick up the free audio tape or CD out there that will tell you more about that. Our literature catalog of Freedom Law School out there will tell you more about that. Okay? And I'll talk to you more about that tomorrow. And I'll tell you what, we even figure out a way how you can do that. And you can become prosperous at the same time. You can leave that dead-end job you don't like with a company that goes nowhere. You can leave that, man, I don't like that withholding. They withhold from my paycheck. I don't like that. You know, that's, oh, I don't want to give them my slave number. You don't have to work with a slave number. You can be your own thing, be your own boss, to be free. Okay? It's all available, folks. If you really want to be free and prosperous in America, you can still do it. So with that, folks, it's time to take a break.